That's been proven out with Tesla over the years. That word of mouth, that viral marketing has been crucial to sales, to building that customer loyalty.
In this video, we're discussing the unstoppable self-destruction of Ford and General Motors. Kind of Tesla's fault, but at the same time, it's also their fault because they're dumb, they're too slow, and now they're paying the ultimate price, ceasing to exist. So let's get into the video. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, there's a bunch of ways you can support the channel, access exclusive content and perks, and get some free stocks and crypto. Check out the links in the pinned comment below. You can get 2 free stocks with WeBull, a free stock with Stake, free Bitcoin with Coinbase, and free Bitcoin with BlockFi, and the BlockFi Bitcoin Rewards credit card. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment theme merch in the merch store. If you want to take it to the next level, join thousands of members on Patreon to gain exclusive access to over 100 Q&A videos, loads of exclusive content, exclusive access to my up-to-date 10-year Tesla stock price targets, and even access my Tesla valuation model at the investor support level and above. So check out the links in the pinned comment below, and thanks for your support.
Some big ambitions, big goals, big numbers around GM and Ford.
I hate to be that guy, maybe I don't really hate to, but the point is, big ambition, big goals, big numbers from Ford and GM. No. Piss weak ambitions, insufficient numbers, piddly little goals from Ford and General Motors. Last I heard, and by the way, this will change repeatedly in the coming years, but last I heard, General Motors were aiming to still be producing internal combustion engine vehicles in 2034, 12 years from now. Ford are aiming to be where Tesla is today, years into the future in terms of production numbers. Ford and General Motors, despite predictably and repeatedly accelerating their electric vehicle plans, are still aiming nowhere near where they should be. So as we continue to watch this video, please keep that in mind. Ford and General Motors are doing a lot of talking about electric vehicles, but they're still not aiming nearly high enough.
What's your take on this? Is this a permanent shift, or is this going to be a fast-growing but still smaller part of these companies' business, at least for now?
Well, at least for now, a small compared to the overall market making the money on the big trucks, the pickups, but clearly sending a message to the market that growth is going to be fast and that they are all in when it comes to electrification of the automobile, because that's where they're being rewarded by the investor community, right? You look at Wall Street and the way that they've rewarded Tesla, and you see, the way that the Wall Street has looked at these traditional automakers for the last few years. It's not until the likes of Mary Barra and Ford have started talking really aggressively about their plans that they start to see that reward in the last few months.
I want to take a moment to discuss this. Tim makes a fair point. The stock market overall in general has been rewarding the likes of Ford and General Motors over the past 12 plus months. Not because they've done anything, not because they think they have a bright future, but because they've been doing a lot of talking, telling people through their words without actually having done anything. Yes, we're focused on EVs, we're accelerating our EV plans, blah, blah, blah. But as I pointed out, GM today still aiming to be producing ICE vehicles more than a decade from now. They're fucked. Yet investors at this point in time overall are so dumb, so stupid, so naive, so ill-informed, that if Mary B.S. Barra comes out and says we're leading the electric vehicle revolution, which she definitely hasn't said, and no one else has said that about GM either because it's not true, but if Mary B.S. Barra were to come out and say such a thing, make such a claim, there's enough morons out there in the stock market that this would likely have a very positive effect on General Motors stock price, even though to me, from my perspective, I think it's better than even odds that General Motors will be bankrupt before the end of the decade. Same for Ford, and I think Ford's in a much stronger position to transition to EV successfully without going bust than General Motors. So I just wanted to emphasize, GM and Ford talk, not actually doing anything, but talking about doing something, and the stonks go up. Meanwhile, Tesla doing something and the stonk basically flat over the last 12 months. Curious, isn't it?
In particular, Ford. So the story is all electrification. That's the future.
Yeah, and there's a lot of big numbers around reservations, okay, for these electric vehicles. But I want to be clear, because the deposits on many of these cars, I think for a Rivian is $1,000. For some of these electric GMC cars, it's $100, and I believe it's fully refundable. So if you're curious, you can throw $100 down. You're basically in it for nothing, and you can always get that money back. I think, won't the tell be, Tim, to see how many of these early orders actually convert, because it's real easy to put the deposit down on something that's cool and new. We got to see how many of these buyers actually convert, do we not?
Oh, absolutely. and how many of these vehicles these companies can actually produce in the year. Can they show that they can get the microchips that they need to build the vehicles, the batteries that they need to ramp up? That's going to be critical. As Ford reports its results, I think a lot of investors are going to want to continue to look for signs that they are on track for that electric F-150 that's coming this spring. That is probably one of the most important product rollouts that the company has done in recent memory.
I definitely agree about the importance of Ford's F-150 electric pickup truck. The truck market in the US is enormous. The top 3 best-selling trucks, each selling close to 1 million units per year. If Ford gets this thing relatively right, they will sell hundreds of thousands every year if they can make them, even if it's not that good.
As they show that they can do this, right? One of the challenges that traditional automakers have is proving that they can electrify the vehicle, make a vehicle that consumers want to buy, right? Tesla has demonstrated that customers will buy an electric vehicle if it's cool and it's sexy and it can perform. When you look at traditional automakers, in particular GM, they've struggled with that.
Another great point. Tesla is not only the only company that's ramped EV production to scale, is doing so profitably, blah, 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 which were points Tim mentioned earlier. Other automakers like Ford and GM have yet to do this, yet to prove themselves. But Tesla is also the only company that's made such a compelling electric vehicle that consumers are willing to pay increasing prices throughout last year. Model Y price, I think, up almost 20%, yet still wait times 6+ months to get delivery on these vehicles. That's how good Tesla's products are. In order for legacy automotive manufacturers to take any meaningful market share from Tesla, they need to be able to make electric vehicles at scale profitably, which they haven't been able to do yet. Not only that, but more important than that, these vehicles need to be at least as good, if not considerably better than a Tesla vehicle on everything that matters. The bar is already set incredibly high, and Tesla continues to lift it over and over and over. It never ends. It's a moving target. In short, good luck to Ford and General Motors and everybody else converting the talking into walking and not going bankrupt in the process.
But let's be clear, people, and you and I have talked about electric cars. They are fast, they are fun, they have very few moving parts, they are cheap to maintain, minus the tires. But here's the thing, to me, where this market is really going to take off, or it's not, it's going to win or die on the parking lot. What I mean by that is somebody gets an electric Lightning or a Silverado, his buddies or her buddies say, what do you think of the truck? And they're either going to sing its praises and say it's the greatest thing ever, and others are going to buy it, or they're going to say, well,
I should have bought a Tesla. Get one of those instead.
His buddies or her buddies say, what do you think of the truck? And they're either going to sing its praises and say it's the greatest thing ever, and others are going to buy it, or they're going to say, well, the range isn't as good as I thought, or the battery really goes dead quickly when it's freezing cold. The real sales job on these EVs, Tim, in my opinion, and disagree please if you want, is going to be when the first customers get them and start telling their friends about how they run. Because this is a new technology for most people. Completely different way to drive and operate a car.
Absolutely correct. Then that's been proven out with Tesla over the years. That word of mouth, that viral marketing has been crucial to sales, to building that customer loyalty.
Well, as most people watching this channel will know, the more Teslas Tesla sells, the more Teslas Tesla sells. Every time somebody gets a new vehicle, takes delivery of a Tesla, they can't shut the fuck up. They'll tell their friends, their family, their colleagues, their co-workers how great this is, give test drives, show off the infotainment, the features, everything. People just cannot stop raving about their vehicles. Thus far, no company on earth has been able to create a product as compelling as a Tesla electric vehicle in the same price bracket. There's no question per every 100 customers taking delivery of a Tesla versus a Ford electric vehicle, General Motors electric vehicle, etc. Far few customers out of every 100 will be ranting and raving. They just won't shut up about their Ford or their General Motors electric vehicle. Don't get me wrong, some people will be pretty happy with it, some will be impressed, some will say, yeah, it's pretty good, blah, 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 blah. But you're not going to be creating these insane raving fanboys and fangirls like Tesla does. Over the long term, this is going to matter a lot. Neighbor picks up a GM electric vehicle because they've only ever bought GM. You say, hey, what's it like? Yeah, it's okay, it's not bad. You go home, you look online, you discover a Tesla for the same price, has more range performance, safer, blah, 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 and think, oh, maybe I'll check one of these out. How's it compared to ICE? Oh, it's even better than ICE. Yeah, I'll buy one of these instead. So a lot of electric vehicles being sold by Tesla's so-called competition, in my opinion, will actually ultimately end up selling more Tesla vehicles. Another way to think about this is the faster General Motors and Ford can ramp, produce, and sell electric vehicles to customers, the faster they put themselves out of business. Not only because their vehicles cannibalize sales of ICE vehicles, no, but also because every one vehicle they sell to a customer might end up selling 2 or 3 electric vehicles to a new customer who buys a Tesla instead after their neighbor talks about this vehicle, but they do some homework.
Because this is something new, as you point out, right? If you can get somebody behind the wheel of these vehicles and demonstrate that it's cool to drive and that it performs, it helps that sale. And the thing that GM and Ford have to show is that once you get in this vehicle, it's worth having. It's better than, or at least equal to having a gas-powered vehicle.
And quickly, how much of this is going to come down to battery range? They say 300. You and I have driven electric cars. At 230, you start to get nervous. Then if it's cold, it's 200. Pretty soon you're charging more than you expected. How much is battery life going to ultimately matter? It's going to be maybe the only thing that matters in a lot of these situations.
It's going to be huge in the next few years, even though the average person maybe does 40 miles in their daily commute. Typically, they don't need all that range, but it's psychological. They want to know when they get in there that they could go someplace if they want to.
And as we know, Tesla has an enormous advantage in terms of batteries. Every aspect of this, from thermal management to integration, this ultimately means that Tesla gets much more range per kilowatt hour of battery in their vehicles than any other automotive manufacturer. This is a scalable model. For Tesla to produce and sell an electric vehicle with X amount of range to consumers is going to cost them significantly less than Ford, General Motors, etc., because they have huge advantages and they're operating at larger scale. There's a million things going into this. But the point is, Ford and General Motors are going to be chasing Tesla and either having to sell their vehicles at much higher prices to offer equivalent range, or sell them at the same price and have insufficient range, meaning they're losing even more sales, or price their vehicle the same as a Tesla and offer the same range, but actually lose money on every vehicle because they can't make them profitably because they haven't been manufacturing electric vehicles at high volumes for years. Legacy automotive manufacturers, Ford and General Motors in particular, are stuck between a rock and a hard place. They took far too long to start moving towards electric vehicles. They continuously accelerate their plans because they're still being blindsided by how quickly the transition is happening and how much demand there is already in the marketplace for compelling, well-priced electric vehicles. The things that Tesla's already making at a rate well in excess of 1 million per year. In my opinion, the more electric vehicles Ford and General Motors ultimately sell to consumers, the more consumers are going to realize that buying a Tesla is a far better option than a Ford or General Motors electric vehicle. And this is going to accelerate the death of legacy automotive manufacturers. It's not just this, but the less internal combustion engine vehicles these companies produce, the more expensive they are to produce, and these are where their profits are coming from today. Eventually, ICE vehicles will no longer be profitable for legacy automotive manufacturers to produce, and they won't be making enough electric vehicles to satisfy demand, and they won't be making electric vehicles that compete with Tesla on cost, performance, features, and functionality. In other words, they're fucked. And the worst part, they need to accelerate their EV plans as fast as possible to have any chance of surviving the decade. But in my opinion, it's already too late. Maybe in the best case scenario, Ford and General Motors can limp through the end of the decade producing maybe up to 1 million electric vehicles per year each, which would be a stunning accomplishment, but a dramatic fall from grace versus where they are today. Yet, as we heard in this discussion, investors are giving credit to Ford and General Motors for being successful in mass producing extremely desirable, profitable, fast, efficient, safe electric vehicles. Something they've yet to actually do. Something to consider. During the next 2 to 3 years, as we watch both legacy automotive manufacturers and EV startups attempt to replicate what Tesla did years ago, I personally believe we're going to discover just how incredibly difficult what Tesla pulled off actually was. And it seems to me that the average stock investor out in the marketplace picking up stocks in legacy auto and EV startups based on a lot of talk and goals, projections, ambitions, rather than execution, action, and proof of their ability to do what you hope that they can, remember, hope is not a strategy, is dramatically underestimating how difficult it's going to be. Once again, I want to put this on the record. General Motors in particular, no question, will be bankrupt before the decade is over. If they're lucky, maybe they'll be acquired or merged first, and then that entity itself will go belly up. But I have no question, this company is toast. It's too late. I think Ford's going down the same path, but they're definitely in a better position, better leadership, better technology, better products so far. They have the potential to survive, but it is going to be an incredible uphill battle. GM, too little, too late. They're now in a downward spiral, unstoppable self-destruction. They know they need to transition to EVs as fast as possible, but the faster they move in this direction, the quicker they'll ultimately go extinct. Hey, Don't say I didn't warn you. Take a guess in the comments below. What year will Ford go bankrupt, if at all? And what year will General Motors, aka Government Motors, go bankrupt, assuming they don't get bailed out? Hope you guys and girls have enjoyed the video, and don't forget, you can sign up to Patreon with the card in the corner or the link in the pinned comment to gain access to over 100 exclusive Q&A videos, loads of exclusive content, and a bunch of perks, plus exclusive access to my Tesla stock price targets all the way out until 2031 in the bear case, the base case, and the bull case. So if you're not already supporting the channel on Patreon, check the link in the pinned comment to join, gain access to all those perks and plenty more. I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm Stephen Mark Ryan. This is Solving the Money Problem, and I love you all. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, there's a bunch of ways you can support the channel, access exclusive content and perks, and get some free stocks and crypto. Check out the links in the pinned comment below. You can get 2 free stocks with WeBull, a free stock with Stake, free Bitcoin with Coinbase, and free Bitcoin with BlockFi, and the BlockFi Bitcoin Rewards credit card. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment themed merch in the merch store. If you want to take it to the next level, join thousands of members on Patreon to gain exclusive access to over 100 Q&A videos, loads of exclusive content, exclusive access to my up-to-date 10-year Tesla stock price targets, and even access my Tesla valuation model at the investor support level and above. So check out the links in the pinned comment below, and thanks for your support. And if you're still watching, you're awesome. I read every single comment on this channel, and I really appreciate your feedback. So if you've got any thoughts on today's video, questions, comments, or suggestions for a new video, let me know in the comments below. Check the cards on screen now to browse the merch store, join Patreon, or watch the next video.